Hey guys, I know it's been a while since I last uploaded. Life has been pretty busy to say the least, and unfortunately, it's impacted my upload schedule. Now, with that being said though, I don't want life to be an excuse to keep me away from doing the things I love to do, which kind of goes back to what I want to talk about in this video. Life is just straight up exhausting. Recently, I've come to realize that the way society wants us to live, it straight up leaves us with no time to actually focus on the things we want to do. It's like we're in a rat race of perpetually trying to survive, and when we're not working, then we're useless. Like you invest so much time into quote unquote advancing yourself, and where does it leave you? Angry, depressed, and just as miserable as you were before. And why? It's because we stop living for ourselves and instead choose to live for other people's validation instead. Like, over these last few months, I've come to realize this more and more, and let me tell you, once I started to actually focus on doing things I wanted and drop the belief that I should be doing something more productive, life started getting a little brighter again, and I want to teach you guys how you can do the same thing. Now, with all of that out of the way, this kind of brings me to my first talking point: the glorification of hustle culture and the cost of burnout. I've noticed recently that hustle culture has been becoming more and more popular. The idea that we need to stay on the grind 24/7 being ingrained in us more and more. Don't get me wrong, I can respect parts of it. Being motivated to achieve and do the hard shit in life, it always requires you to hustle at least a little bit. Whether it's building that YouTube channel, starting that business, or hitting the gym, great, beautiful, cool. Yeah, you gotta hustle. But what I don't respect about it is that it encourages people to prioritize working over their mental health. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that we should only work when we feel like it, because that's not how life works. But what I'm really trying to say is that we need to be okay with taking a break from time to time in order to actually reconnect with ourselves. For example, if you didn't know from my previous videos, I'm a firefighter for a pretty well known department. And if you know anything about career fire departments, then you understand that they can be extremely rigorous and demanding. Well, over this last year and a half, I had to nonstop work on training, studying, drilling, etc., to the point where my life literally just evolved into waking up at 3 a.m. to drive to the academy, training my ass off nonstop while I was there, driving home and just studying more. I felt like doing anything outside of that just equated to me being lazy. I gave up doing a lot of the things I loved to do during that time. I stopped playing guitar, stopped doing art, stopped lifting, and I stopped playing video games because I could be studying instead. Like, I told myself that if I had any free time, then something was fundamentally wrong, and I wasn't trying hard enough. But here's the thing: all of this effort invested into hustling did not get me any bit closer to what I truly wanted in life. At the end of the day, what I wanted was to be happy. I wanted to feel fulfilled in my career and fulfilled with myself. And oddly enough, when I prioritized my career over everything else, it made reaching those goals so much harder. What I didn't tell you were all the silent car rides I had to work where I absolutely felt hopeless. My depression coming back full swing, and losing sight of the reason why I wanted the job. I felt angry, tired, and most of all, I was burned out. And by not taking advantage of the free time that I had to enjoy life, it made me worse at my job. And this is why hustle culture can be so dangerous. What I want you to really get out of this is to recognize by giving yourself free time to actually explore yourself, you can create a more productive version of yourself. Like once you get to that point where the burnout makes everything feel so heavy, you're no longer going to be the optimum you, no matter how much you continue to train. You're not lazy for playing video games, playing guitar, drawing, hanging out with your friends. You're just being a person instead of a husk. And that's what we need to remind ourselves of more often. But yeah, moving on to the next talking point. Another thing I see a lot of people do, including myself at a time, is having your career become your entire identity. You see this sort of thing all the time, whether it's that Wendy's manager who prides themselves into being an absolute Karen, the friend who only talks about their work whenever you guys hang out, or that construction worker telling you that you're a literal sissy because you didn't work 168 hours of overtime of smashing your balls into a hydraulic press. The point is, there's a lot more to life than just working, and by defining ourselves purely off of the titles we hold, we honestly lose a bit of our humanity. Like for myself, sure, I work a pretty cool job, and I get to see a bunch of stuff that the average person doesn't get to see. But what I really care about isn't the fact that I work that job, it's my hobbies and relationships I have outside of my career. I want to be recognized for my interests, not how many fires I put out or how many crackheads I have to narc in, because there's so many avenues I could explore within myself that don't involve my career. And I think that's a huge mistake a lot of people make. They never actually explore themselves and are complacent with just being that fireman, manager, or construction worker, instead of being that person who can play a mean guitar solo, make amazing art, or simply just be a deeply interesting person. Like, why are we limiting ourselves to a single dimension when we can explore all three? And ultimately, I just think we need to aim to be something more than just our title. And trust me, once we do that, I think we'll feel a lot more fulfilled in the end. Now, with all that out of the way, the last talking point I got, arguably the most important one, is how we can break free from burnout. Breaking free from burnout starts by reclaiming control, and oftentimes the main reason why we get to that point of burnout is because we feel like we lost that control in our lives. We're really just prisoners to our habits and routines, and when we establish ones that harm us, we lose ourselves fast. The biggest thing we can do to regain control is by setting boundaries, and I get that it might be hard to do so. Nobody wants to say no to their boss who's asking if you can pick up an extra shift. But what you need to realize is that by working an extra shift, it isn't going to make you happier. It's just going to go ahead and push you further down your spiral. Time is our biggest limitation in our lives, and it's something that we need to protect fiercely. When you're old and suddenly can't do the things that you once loved to do, you're not going to look back and be happy about the fact that you worked that extra shift. No, you're going to regret all the time you wasted doing something you hated. Your work obligations don't have to bleed in your personal life, so why do we allow them to? I can assure you, once you detach yourself from work during your free time, life gets a little bit easier. Now, the second way we can break free from burnout is allocating time to actually do the things we enjoy. We need to realize that it's okay to do things we love to do because we love them, regardless of whether or not it makes us money or makes us seem more productive. The one thing that pulled me out of my burnout was forcing myself to actually get back into my hobbies and push past the feelings of guilt. I knew I was miserable and it was becoming unbearable since I just continued to live in work mode every single day. But by giving myself an opportunity to focus on something that needed to be done, or other than what needed to be done on shift, I felt a lot lighter and started to see some light again. When I went to the gym I loved, I could feel that stress leave me during my lifts. When I rolled in jujitsu, I focused on my techniques instead of what protocol I needed to review. And when I fucked around building some fucking lame ass barn in Minecraft I'm building right now, work was not the first thing that I was concerned about. It gave me time to heal and time to understand that reconnecting with our passions is the greatest recovery we can have when it comes to actually being able to look forward to life. So, with yourself, please seek out that spark through your hobbies. Your passions are what lights it. Now, the last way we can break free from burnout is by listening to what our body and mind tells us. When everything feels so heavy, that's when we really need to double down on slowing down and resting. For the longest time, I was just straight up incapable of that. I would just keep pushing past the emotions in order to be more productive, and it actually had the opposite effect. What a lot of us need to realize is that how we feel on a day to day basis directly impacts our performance at work. And if you sit there absolutely miserable due to your lack of rest, your work is going to reflect that. We may think we can hide it, but the reality is we can't. And one way or another, it will come out. So if you want to be a more productive person, then legitimately give yourself time to not be, at least for your sake. But, anyways, with all that over with, all I'm really going to say is that I want to reiterate that by breaking free from the burnout, it doesn't mean that you're abandoning your obligations or you're being useless. It's about regaining control from the cycles that keep us miserable, and it's about realizing that there's more to life than just straight up working yourself into the ground. It's about recognizing the fact that we deserve to be happy and that we owe it to ourselves at the end of the day. We don't have to be slaves to our habits and routines, and we can be so much more if we allow ourselves to break free from it. Whether it's fighting against hustle culture, learning to reconnect with our hobbies, picking up new interests, or detaching ourselves from our work. By doing it all, you'll be able to become that three-dimensional person that you were meant to be. You just gotta give yourself that opportunity, man, and keep fighting against that depression and burnout. You have what it takes, we all do. We just need to see it for what it is. But hey, I hope this helped you in some capacity, and if you have any questions, let me know in the comments, and I wish you all the best, and until next time, have a great day.